My name is JC Cantrell, and today we are going to go over the M-Day NCO fill process within the Wisconsin Army National Guard. The topics we will be reviewing today. And a little bit of background. So, being that the Wisconsin Army National Guard is part of the military, there's a lot of foreign terms and acronyms used. So, this is just a list of some common acronyms you may hear me say or use throughout the presentation that, if needed, we could refer back to. So a little bit of background about this topic. So the Wisconsin Army National Guard uses a M-Day NCO fill process, which is filling positions that are in the rank of E5 or above, up through Master Sergeant for traditional National Guardsmen. What happens is the position becomes vacant, and typically we like to fill, or the goal is to fill that rank with one grade under, which is known as a promotion in the military or a career opportunity. So this is the most common way in which soldiers can advance to the next rank. In the Wisconsin PPG, which is the Wisconsin's Personnel Policy Guidance, it identifies the NCO fill process in writing so that it is used throughout the entire state, and it has what is currently priorities level 1 through 8. For the purpose of this presentation, I will be referring to the M-Day NCO fill process as just the NCO fill process. So here's a cause and effect diagram. So as you'll see, the M-Day NCO fill process takes too long to select and assign a soldier, but bottom line, the fill process just takes too long. Okay. So diving in, you'll see that there are many attributes to this issue. Going all the way from human error personnel to systems and databases. So going into the 5 whys, I find this more important to elaborate on than the cause and effect diagram, as this gives us our final so what factor, right? So the problem was that the fill process takes too long, and it's because the NCO fill process takes 2 to 4 months to slot the selected applicant in the position. Why? Because the NCO fill process is not exhausted in a timely manner, so the steps are not conducted in a timely manner in which the fill process can take only an adequate amount of time. Why? Because the G1 Personnel Management Branch does not automatically initiate the P1 through P3, which we will get into later, upon vacancies reporting on the WPAS vacancy report. Because G1 waits for the lower echelon, which is typically a battalion or a unit, to enter remarks in the position of the WPAS vacancy slot. Why? Because G1 and FTUS, so that would be at the battalion or unit level again, are not in sync with the actual written guidance that's in the PPG. So the countermeasure, or the end state here, is to revise the Wisconsin Personnel Policy Guidance to include system procedures and ensure that personnel at all levels involved are aware and trained of the process and policy. So the current process, priority 1 through 3, so P1, 2, and 3, all happen concurrently. So pretty much if you are excess, priority 1, if you are excess, extra in a slot, so for example, the slot is authorized 1 soldier, and there are 2 in there that are of same qualification, one of you would be excess. So priority 1, a vacant slot goes out to any soldier that would be excess that qualifies, which meaning the same grade and same MOS. And a reminder that MOS is like your job skill, your job. So as long as you are qualified in that rank and that job, you would be priority placed P1. However, it's optional, and G1 does not typically enforce the mandated rule of 50 miles and below home of record to position. Priority 2 and 3, as I said, happen concurrently with priority 1, and this is where the unit can select a soldier that's already trained. So same MOS, same position, they're in a hard slot, but maybe they're in another unit and they want to come to that unit. So this is where you would do like a lateral or a transfer. The next priority level would be P4, which this is the most common desired priority step, priority level, because this is where we get our promotions. So this is how soldiers advance in their career. Sorry about that. So with the priority 4, the downfall to that is if you fail to reply within the allotted time, you are automatically removed from the promotion list and you cannot be put back on the list until the following year. So with technology, you would think that a lot of soldiers have the ease of checking their email. However, the military uses an enterprise email, and it is actually not very feasible for 100% of the force to be able to check that email at a given's notice, because you have to have specific measures, software measures on your computer, has to use certain applications, and so it's just a struggle for a lot of soldiers. With that being said, the EPS list can fastly be exhausted, resulting in no one eligible to be promoted within a few months. The next phase is P5. To me, this is the second most sought out level, and you'll note though it's optional. This is where if no one was selected from the promotion list because there's no eligible candidates, you can pick your one rank lower top qualified candidate. So what that means is a soldier wasn't eligible for the promotion list this year, maybe because they don't meet the time and service requirement or a time and grade requirement identified by the regulation. So they're projected to be on the list next year, and they're such a high-speed soldier, you're foreseeing them being at the top of the list. You're going to temp fill them in that, so that as soon as they're eligible on that list, they're promoted incumbent to that position. Typically, this priority level P5 is used when the list has been exhausted. P6, you'll see, is a mandatory step. This is, to me, the most unfavored and misunderstood level. It's where the priority list is obsolete, the promotion list has been exhausted, the unit did not temp fill, and now they're going to the promotion list that is 2 ranks under. So this can result in severely underqualified soldiers going into higher level positions. And this is how we have a lack in leadership and communication, is by putting an underqualified soldier in an overgrade position just because they wanted to fill a position versus filling it with someone qualified. P7, you'll see accordance with the PPG is no longer used. However, it has not been removed. And then P8 is where we have tried to fill it in a sense internally, not able to fill. E6 and below, this is not mandatory, only mandatory for E7 and above to advertise. So the current state is 7,250 soldiers in the Wisconsin Army National Guard, and of that you'll see that right here 793 positions are sitting vacant. Of that 793, we're going to focus on this yellow right here, this 308. Because of those 793, 308 of those positions are vacant M-Day NCO fill positions. So you'll see that is almost 40% of the vacant positions are this target audience that we're talking about today. So just a little breakdown of those 308 positions of where they are within that P1 through P8 priority. So I highlighted these two in green, that P4, which was the promotion, and P5, which was the temp fill, in green because ideally that is our optimal choice of fill. And so you see how that is really a small chunk of that entire 308 positions. So the current state, I'll let you just go ahead and take a look at this. It just kind of gives you a few numbers breaking down that table chart or the tree chart you just saw prior slide. So again, I really want to point out the P4 and P5. You'll see that over 50% of the positions that are currently at P4, which is the promotion, the career enhancement, over 50%, about 2/3 of those, they would need action. So that's very significant. So here's a visual of that for you, starting at the bottom, going up from not initiating yet all the way up to P8, the total number of vacancies, and then the lighter blue is the total number that needs action. So I've revised the current process, and we're just going to go through this as a lot of the steps have stayed the same. Just some of the timelines and requirements have maybe changed to modify for a future process. So I propose that priority 1 is a standalone. All steps are now standalone. We've reduced it from 14 days to 7 days, and it is solely focusing on the priority fill. If there's no one excess, it immediately will go to P2, where this is the soldier, the unit has the option to lateral fill a qualified soldier, again, only taking 7 days. P3 will now be that EPS offer, and I have put in bold here, you'll see in the last sentence of the paragraph, that I'm proposing that failure to respond or declining a position results in the soldier being placed on the bottom of the promotion list versus being removed. This is because in my history of the positions I've been in, the Wisconsin Army National Guard has a trend of having the list exhausted, and then we actually have positions that just can't be filled. So this would help reduce another issue. The next phase would be P4, which is that temp fill, the second optimal type of fill. And the requirement I would add here is that soldiers must be in good standing and cannot be flagged. So this is something we should know, and I think it's an implied criteria within the PPG. However, it's really not written. So I think making sure that that is identified in writing will make a clear, concise guidance over the state. And then P5 is going to be that mandatory removing the two ranks under, and then P5 would be the advertising out to state, but, oh, I apologize. So P5 is going to 2 ranks below, as previously in the other one. However, you'll see the bold here. In the current process, if you are 2 ranks under and you deny, you are removed from the list, just as promotion rules. However, my proposal would be that there is no adverse action to your placement on the promotion list if you choose to deny, due to the simple fact that with incentives like bonuses and student loan repayment, you can lose or have your bonus suspended because you are 2 ranks under. That is considered in the incentive world to be not qualified. And in order to receive your incentive, you have to be qualified. So I would propose that a denial does not hinder a soldier and is not taken adversely action against them, because ideally the promotion system is made to promote 1 rank under. And then the last priority would be priority 6, would be where you advertise statewide for fill. I propose this is also shortened. And once that suspense has lapsed, if there's been no candidate, that G1 would automatically initiate the fill process again. So what happens about once a quarter is there's a stab. So there could be potential new candidates on a list. And that it was mandatory for E5, E7 through E8. I propose it's not applicable for E5, and it is mandatory for E6 and above. So how are we going to sustain this going forward? How do we sustain a quality process that is clear and concise throughout the state? There's 3 key things that we need to do. We need to do policy reviews, training, and accountability, but how are we going to accomplish that? We're going to accomplish that by the 5 S. So we're going to sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So just go ahead and take a minute to review that. I think the backbone to implementing the 5S is actually having a policy review, and then going to the sustain, you'll note that a key thing is that annually the NCO fill process is reviewed in conjunction with the new promotion list, so that way there's no changes to the fill process throughout the current list. So in summary, I'd like to point out that the current NCO fill process creates a very lengthy process. With my proposed changes, the fill process would go from 86 days down to 63 days, and that's just from initiation of the fill process to the end if everything went exactly as supposed to with no delays. Questions?